Hey, ladies, welcome to The Power of the Ask, the podcast where we ditch the waiting and embrace the asking for what we truly deserve.
Welcome to The Power of the Ask.
Hey, ladies, welcome to The Power of the Ask podcast, which helps you get what you need financially and personally. We are so glad that you're here today. My name is Lisa Zeiderman, managing partner at Miller Zeiderman, and I am one of the co-hosts with my dear friend Precious Williams, the killer pitch master and CEO of the Perfect Pitch Group. Welcome back, everyone. This week, we are actually going to be speaking to Krisstina Wise, who is a real estate mogul, an award-winning author, and creator of the multi-million-dollar ventures like Good Life Luxury, the Paperless Agent and WealthyWellthy. After a life-threatening health crisis in 2013, Krisstina now empowers others to achieve extraordinary wealth and health through innovative education and insights. Krisstina has been featured in USA Today and recognized as one of the 100 most influential real estate leaders. Krisstina shares her journey and her strategies on her Wealthy Life podcast and Millionaire Masterclass. So, Krisstina, I am so happy to have you here today. Welcome.
Oh, so happy to be here.
What led you to become an entrepreneur? Can you tell us the part of the story that most people may not know about how you decided to do this?
Well, the way I grew up, I tell a story that, I mean, it's a true story, but I actually started in a trailer home and I grew up in a pretty rough environment with parents that were both alcoholics and were never home. I'd just say a lot of neglect at that young age. And at that young age, not having money, once you get into the school system, there was a lot of being made fun of. There was a lot of shame. There's a lot of embarrassment that comes with just from being from the other side of the tracks and being on the school lunch program and just things, maybe we don't think about. But as a kid going through that, it's, for me, it was pretty rough. And I just wanted to fit in as a kid. I just wanted to be normal. So what I learned is that, I don't know, by the time 11 or 12, I realized like I can do things. I can sell things. I can actually make my own money regardless of where my parents are, what they're doing. And so I just started learning how to do odd jobs and I would sell apricots at the local swap meet or any random thing I could do. And I started learning like, oh my gosh, this is really great. You can be creative and you can make money. And I learned that by making money and being able to spend money, I started to be included, that I got to buy things that actually allowed me to fit in. And, there's great things that happen out of that and some things that I had to break as an adult that came out of that situation. But I've just been an entrepreneur ever since. I started when I was probably 10, 11, 12, and I've always said I'm probably unemployable because I'm just going to break the rules and do what I need to do to try to succeed.
It's interesting because I think that there are so many entrepreneurs out there who start so young in life. I, for one, am an entrepreneur and I started with a babysitting business and I was probably the most popular babysitter in town, right? And I was very happy to have this whole business that would go on all weekends and summers, etc. And it was a natural evolution to go into my own business as time went on. So I'm not surprised to hear that you did this at a young age. Now, at some point in your life, you faced a life-threatening health crisis, as I understand it. And did your approach to your business and your success and how you were navigating your life change from that particular experience?
Oh, wait, I mean, it radically changed. And the kind of what I was saying with that childhood story is that I was really motivated to change my situation. And so I did well in school and I wanted to get all A's and I would work and I made money and I did all these things. And then I started noticing that even though my parents never showed up to things, the more successful I got as a child, like winning games and winning spelling bees and whatever I might do, I get like this outward external acknowledgement, like a lot of praise and man, you're so smart, you're so this, you so that. And so, we're kind of wired as children as an adult, that never changed. And I mean, I was just very motivated to succeed, very motivated to make a lot of money. I got into sales early on. I was number one in everything sales because I worked harder. I got up earlier and stayed later than anybody else and did all the things. But I really was motivated to be number one. Like whatever number one was, I wanted the gold medal on the stage. And so that worked. It's in terms of kind of success and money. But no matter how successful I got, I went on grew my own sales company and sales business and went on to break all those records and had a big firm. But no matter how successful I got, I was never successful enough. Like it was never enough. I was always chasing the next thing, and the goalposts would always change. And I just lived in the state of never satisfied, never good enough, never successful enough. There's always the next person to beat. And it seemed to be working in a sense that business was great and money was great, but I sacrificed a lot of relationships and my health. I traded my health for wealth. And by chasing that success and chasing that dollar, I completely broke apart. I had a stress stroke is where kind of that first domino, and it went just downhill from there. And what was so interesting, Lisa, is during this time is that I spent 10 years grinding and sacrificing so much to build this business. And then when I got sick, within 12 months, this business that was, putting seven figures in my personal bank account every year, I was feeding it. I was paying it to keep it alive within 12 months, 10 years of like literally killing myself. And within 12 months, it couldn't stand alone. And, there was just all these things. And so it just woke me up. It's like, what am I doing? I'm chasing this external validation. I'm chasing this success. I'm chasing this, hey, look at me. And I'm sacrificing what really matters, my health, my marriage, my children, my relationships for something out there in the future. So yeah, right when I got sick, it woke me up and it made me realize of what's most important. And what happened is like on that proverbial deathbed that we hear about all the time, like, you're never going to care about that last sale when you're on your deathbed. And it's true. Like, I didn't care about my success. I didn't care about my business. I actually didn't care about the money other than it could pay for me trying to save my life at the time. But what I was left with was so much remorse that I sacrificed so much for what? That I gave up so much and I was missing what mattered most. And it was like I had the physical things, but the emotional, psychological piece was I was just so ashamed and so sad and so remorseful that I didn't live. And so that changed me. And coming out of that experience, I radically changed my life to be about money's not something to chase. Success isn't something that's going to make you happy. It's not going to fulfill you, but to chase like life and to really like live and enjoy living and build relationships and start with heart. And money's a byproduct of, you know, value creation and helping people, but it comes from a different place. So yeah, my life is radically different after that. And I'm grateful.
So you've said so many interesting things, and so many women, particularly, I think right now, are talking about this work life balance situation, including myself, frankly, because I understand this idea of the chase and moving the goalposts, and you keep moving those goalposts all the time, and you never really reach a goal because by the time you're almost there, you've moved the goalpost already, right? But this whole intersection of, I think, health and wealth, and that your health is also, I mean, I hate to say it, it's a commodity, right? It's you have to have it in order to be able to actually create wealth, because without your health, you really can't function. And I think people forget that they have to actually make sure that they are, doing all those things to keep themselves healthy, because they can't actually be scaling a business and working a business and building without it. Can you kind of share a defining moment or this realization that shifted your whole perspective on these two concepts, and how you were able to align these two aspects in your life?
Yeah, it's funny. Like when I came out the other side, and I realized like I had this realization that I didn't want to do because I built this business that I hated. It owned me and I didn't own it. And so coming out of this, like, I don't know what I want to do next, but not this. Like, this isn't balance. This isn't freedom that I thought I was working for. And so I sold what I could. I dismantled what I couldn't sell, and really just started with this blank slate. But the first thing that came out of what's going to be next was this concept, and it's called Wealthy Wealthy. This is the name, the brand of my business that is hard to say. And it's for those listening, it's wealth, like normal wealth, WEALTH. But then the second wealthy is WELLTHY. So wealthy, wealthy. And that became the beginning that this is what I want to design my life. Now that I got a second chance, I want to design my life where, yeah, you have to have money. Like money pays the bills. Money underwrites the cost of living the life that we want, and to have life and experiences. And it I mean, we can't pretend that money isn't a part of the equation, a very important part of the equation. So I was good at making money. I was good at building wealth. So I wanted to keep that piece in. But then the wealthy piece was like, now how do I build business in my life around being well, like emotionally well, psychologically well, spiritually well, relationally well, and physically well? And that became my mission, is to figure that out. And so I built a lifestyle business then that was organized around the hours I wanted to put in and the type of money I wanted to create, and um and yeah, just redesign my life where life was important and money was just something that, like I said, underwrote the cost of living it. And what I because in financial terms, which I was good with money, like I was good with money and numbers, and I got an accounting degree, and loved math and loved all the things. And so I understand, very logical brain, like you, an attorney, like just, very left brain focused. So when I was able to look at that in kind of the way my brain operates, it's like, oh, my body is my number one asset.
Exactly.
If I don't take care of my body, everything else breaks apart. And that's what happened. That's what happens when we don't put ourselves first, especially as women. And we work hard. We make, for those of us that are working, and we sacrifice a lot, and we want to have our own success and create our own value and make our own impact. And then, we want to be great moms, and we want to be great partners, and we want to be good friends, and we want to be good daughters. And that's great. But we usually put ourselves last in the self-care piece because we don't have time and we're exhausted. And I just think as women, we just really have to be careful and put ourselves first and to make that investment. Again, going back to money terms, body is our number one asset. We need to invest in it. So we need to invest time in our wellness. We need to invest money in our wellness and really put ourselves first in this take care so that we can do everything else well that we want to do.
So I love this. I will share that a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago now, I went to a nutritionist for the first time because I had decided that at 60 something years old that it was time actually to make sure that I was putting wellness first. And we've had a lot of discussions, she and I, about this particular issue. So it's so great to have you on. Can you explain what wealthy is? Tell us about the business.
Yeah, so I mean, my brand is what I do is I'm a financial educator. So I teach women what I call feminine financial power, for women to really desire to learn money, understand money, get confident with money, be able to make their own money, manage their own money, invest their own money, with or without a man. And as a couple, that's great. Be partners in this, but don't abdicate. Don't give it away. That comes from our own, mindsets, like I'm not good with money, or I don't want to have anything to do with it, because it puts us in very vulnerable positions when life happens, when we don't understand money, because money it's a real important part of life. Um, so I want to teach women how to just love money, develop a really great relationship with money, and become good at it independently. So that's what I do as a business. The wealthy part is, again, is like to start with asking this question: what is a good life? How much does it cost to live it? how much money is enough? And how much money and time, what is my self-worth? And do I feel worthy? And what do I need to do if I don't to get to that place of worthiness where I know that my self-worth, that I have worth and I have purpose and worth, and I want a certain quality of life and desire that life, and I know how much that is, and I'm going to invest in myself to make sure that happens. So it's very much organized around this worthiness and investing in our own knowledge and abilities and physical, mental well-being so that we can be the best that we're going to be. But it starts with us investing in ourselves.
I love that. And you are someone who has you built so many multi-million-dollar businesses. What do you think sets you apart as an entrepreneur? What makes you different? What makes you entrepreneurial?
Well, as an entrepreneur, for those they're entrepreneurs, I think we talked about it. I think maybe at this age, I there's a part of me that believes that some of us are just wired this way. Like we're just wired differently. You had it, you were babysitting, I had it, and we just can't even imagine another way. And that means that I don't know, we want to make our own money. We're motivated to build something and we'll take our own risks and we'll invest our own money. And, so there's a certain maybe wiring that comes to just like what I call an entrepreneurial mindset, or an entrepreneurial personality type. Doesn't mean you have to have this personality type to succeed, but I think there is this personality type. So I certainly have that. As far as success, there's what I call entrepreneurs, but then there's business and like you went to law school, you studied law, and there's fundamentals of law, and like I can't practice law. I don't know the first thing about law, but I studied business. And so what made me successful at business was turning my entrepreneurial spirit and studying money and business and how to build the business as an enterprise, as an asset, as a machine. So I think that's what's made me exceptionally successful, is that just this um, desire to build something that I could own as a business. And then the final piece is that to succeed in business and entrepreneurship, from my vantage point, you have to deal with failure. You have to be resilient. You have to get up a million times when you don't want to get up. You have to push through when it looks like everything's falling apart. You have to meet payroll when a client, your number one client decided that they weren't going to work with you again. So there's all many these things that we have to face as entrepreneurs and business owners to succeed. And so yeah, you just have to be okay with failure and rejection and willing to get up and give it another try.
I think that's 100% true. You have to be very self-motivated.
Yes.
I think that every day is a new challenge when you're in your own business, and I think you must be able to get through the challenges. And I also think you need to figure out how not to get bogged down with the problems, the day-to-day problems. So, the client who leaves or the fact that you've got to write the check or whatever it is, you've got to get past it so that you can continue to operate your business.
It's so well said, Lisa. I mean, it's really important. I remember like early in my career, you and I have a few gray hairs now. So we've got some experience. But I mean, I remember early in my career, like those big problems, like they seemed one insurmountable, but I just remember like if I can get through this problem, then everything will be better on the other side. And just kept waiting for and then finally realizing like that's what business is. It's just a constant set of problems and you just roll with the punches and it's just another day at the office. And some problems are bigger than other problems. There are days, there's a few days a year where I'm like, why am I doing this? And I want to, throw it all away. But the other 360 days, I love what I'm doing. But yeah, to your point that it is part of the fabric of business is it's always a set of problems.
It really is.
Ladies, are you ready to take control of your future? Do you dream of financial stability, freedom, and a life that truly deserves you?
For over 20 years, Savvy Ladies has empowered women from all walks of life to make smart financial choices, achieve our goals, and build a brighter future.
We built Savvy Ladies as a community of women supporting women. We offer free financial educational programs, a trusted helpline, and guidance and advice from America's top financial professionals.
You can access the financial helpline at savvyladies.org or where you get your apps under Savvy Ladies. Savvy Ladies equips you with the knowledge, confidence, and support you need to thrive. So don't wait. Join Savvy Ladies today and start building your financial confidence and well-being now. Your book, Falling for Money, because of course you've written a book too, is described as a romance novel for your bank account. So, what inspired you to write this book? What do you hope readers take away from it? And what does that mean, a romance novel for your bank account?
Yeah. So when I kind of a funny story there, when I wrote the book and anybody that's written a book, like coming up with writing a book's hard for any number of reasons, but coming up with the title, you would think was one of the easiest things, was one of the hardest things because you have to find a title that nobody else has ever used before and it's going to be a little catchy and all the things. And my first title for the book was I Heart Money. And then my publishers and everybody like, you cannot say I love money. You can't say I heart money. Then we found out there was, I think, another title like that anyway. So then my next thing that I finally came up with was Falling for Money. And they said, no, you can't say that. Like people aren't going to like, it's just too taboo to say, you love money or you're falling for money. And I said, no, I really want to go with this because I want women to think of money like a partner. Like we can think of money like a romantic partner. Like when we fall for our partner, that's a good feeling. And that's that good feeling that starts this really good relationship. And that relationship can turn into, different things down the road. And for money, to really get good with money and build wealth and to be independent and create financial security and freedom and independence that we want as women, it really has to do with our relationship with it. And so the whole purpose of the book and Falling for Money romance novel for your bank account was to think of it like if we kind of have this romantic relationship with our money, that we love it, we honor it, we respect it, we want to spend time with it, we want to like all these things, our money is going to start to take care of us. And it's kind of the same thing in a romantic relationship. Like you kind of give, and if you're with a good partner, they're going to reciprocate with something great back. So that was the whole idea behind this, is to inspire women to want to develop a really happy, attentive, intimate relationship with their money.
Love that. I really love that. And I think it's great. So, we talked about the fact that you got to a point where you kept moving your goalposts and then you realized that this wasn't the way to go. So if you're not moving your goalposts and you definitely have a real relationship with money, how are you redefining your financial prosperity now? What do you do to define that for yourself?
Yeah, it's the work that I love for women to do is, as I alluded to it earlier, is to understand like how much is enough. Like really how much money is enough, how much success is enough. And enough just meaning that if this is as good as it got, it is a really good life. And to figure out what that place is, to quantify it. And then be content with that and then be okay. I've got my kind of destination. It feels good. This is how much money's enough. And now day to day, I can be in the creation of producing that future. And then when we hit the future, that we will, it's not about moving the goalpost. It's about like, hey, yay, look at what's been accomplished and the celebration of that. It doesn't mean I haven't quit working and that type of thing, even after hitting certain numbers, but I'm not motivated to chase anymore or have to prove myself anymore. It's like I get to like wake up like you and actually make impact, change lives, make a difference. And it's not about the chase of money or the it's just that if I make impact, I create value, I help women rediscover their power through finances, then I'm living life and doing what I love, and I'm making money doing it. And so it's a prosperity in the sense that this life is wholeness and fullness as opposed to chasing something out there.
So it's interesting. So you obviously you came from a background that you didn't grow up with money. Neither did I. And I think that for me, my biggest question always is how much is enough? And when do I get to that point that I have enough? Because, and I think this is a question for a lot of people, frankly. How do you know when you got to that point when you have enough that you're going to be able to live the life that you want to live without worrying that you don't have enough? And do you have any advice in terms of that?
Yeah, I mean, I can express it just in some simple math to as a starting place. Because it's funny, I was on a podcast earlier today with a couple of financial planners, and they were saying that they'd have many people that come to them saying, "Hey, I think I want to retire in 3 or 4 years, and I just wanted you to tell me, like, am I close, or when I'm gonna be able to do that?" And they said they have a good percentage of people that come in, they're like, "You could retire today. Like, you're so, like, you've outperformed the numbers and it would work like this." And it's just they just have been living this place like, I don't think I have enough. I don't think I have enough. I have to keep going. So how the math works is pretty simple. Just anybody can do this. Is the first thing is to the different variables are how much does it cost to live my current life? So we have to know what it costs to live our current lifestyle. And that's different for everyone. That's why each individual does their own work. So find out how much it costs to live that life, and then you multiply it by 25.
Now, why'd you pick 25?
So yeah, I'll explain that. So if let's say you and get these are starting places. You would drill it down, but say, okay, if my mortgage is paid off and I don't have any debt and my kids are through school and I'm at a certain age, to make the math simple, I need $100,000 a year. So you multiply that times 25, and that's 2.5 million of net worth. Now, what financial doctrine says is you can pull out 4% of what you have, let's say, stored in the market, or whatever retirement you have, and that 5% means you'll never run out of money. If you live an extra 30 or 40 years, is what we plan to do. So it's called the 4% rule. So that 2.5 million, that 4% equals $100,000 a year, and now you get to live off that. So then that depends where you are in that journey. Is if you have that 2.5 million and you can live off the 100,000, you're at enough. And then, when we're working towards that, you create these numbers, and it's like, okay, over the next 20 years or 10 years or 40 years, depending what our age is, we know what numbers we need to hit. It's going to adjust along the way. And then when you hit that number, you realize, like, this feels so good because my bills are covered. My life is covered, whether I choose to work optional. But for most of us, like you and me, that are entrepreneurs, and we get a lot of satisfaction and a lot of just personal worth out of our work and contribution to what we're doing. But it moves us this place where, yes, I love making money and I love all of those elements. But it's like, it's not about the money anymore. It's actually about the fact that I love the work that I do and the impact that it's making, and the bills are covered. So that's where I want all women to get, is where they know these numbers and they know that they're on track to real financial security and having where all their bills are covered, so that we can get out of this constant stress of, do I have enough, or do we have enough, or what if something happens, or we're month to month. And that just wreaks so much havoc over families and couples, but especially for women, especially as we age. I mean, it wrecks our hormones, and it causes a lot of mental distress. So that's why I love talking about this conversation, because I think just by changing our relationship with money, understanding a few numbers, reverse engineering, a little bit of simple middle school math, we can just get so much better control over the understanding of our finances, and therefore feel a lot more safe and secure.
It's great, Christina. It really is. So, okay. So we now have this idea that we have to be healthy in order to keep going, right? And frankly, to even work and promote wealth, etc. So, what are the tools and the systems that you find most effective in achieving this balance of health and wealth? Give me like your top five.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's having a routine. I just think routine is so important. It's like similar, whether we have young kids or old, stages of life means that some things are a little bit more manageable. When we have teeny tiny ones at home, it's a little bit harder, of course. But the routine, like for me, um, I know that healthy eating is very important. So just the type of groceries that I buy and making sure that I can do home cooked meals. And if I can't cook, to have some help doing that, for example, because the food is such an important piece of it. Exercise, it's planned in, it's routine. Like I have my normal exercise I do every day. I don't think about it. It just gets done. And the entire family system is organized. Everybody's got their place and what they're doing and what mom's schedule is and wife's schedule and that type of thing. And my work hours, like I have a container for the most part. Like these are my work hours. And there's times where it's outside of that. But it's just everything's routine that every day I know I'm going to get my workout in. Every day it's planned for the type of food that's going to be eating, get help with groceries if you need to. And then ask for help is like getting the help to where we're not doing everything, where we're not necessarily getting all the groceries and we're not just getting the kids to school and we're not working late and we're cooking dinner and these things. It's like, what are those boundaries? One, but then two, what help can we pull in without feeling guilty about it? I found that women feel so guilty having help, picking up the kids or buying the groceries or doing XYZ. So anyway, that's it. It's just I think we have to put ourselves is our number one priority. And that's a choice. So it comes with that choice. And then two, setting the routines and just organizing, structuring our life in a way that's in alignment with these things that we want to do to take care of ourselves. Get the monthly massage on the calendar. I'd pay it for things like a year in advance, like pay for everything a year in advance and get it scheduled so that, we're busy. It's so easy. Like, oh yeah, I'll worry about that next month. So just these little hacks that we can do to make sure that we put ourselves first. But to me, it's more of a mindset and a choice, and then everything else follows suit.
I think that it's about the routine. I agree with you. I mean, I know I shared earlier that I had seen this nutritionist, and what you just said is exactly right. First of all, it's what you're putting into your body and how you are essentially fueling yourself, and then it's the exercise, making sure that that becomes part of your routine. And I will say that's the hardest part for me is the exercise. I could deal with the food element of it, and really making sure that I am covered in that, but I think the exercise, making sure that there's time for it, because it's so easy to say, "Okay, I'll do it tomorrow," or "I'll start it this weekend," or "I did twice this week. Okay, maybe I'll just do an extra one next week," kind of situation.
There's two things I say there is one, like I invest in accountability because, so I have trainers that get my ass to the gym and my wallet forces me to do things. So I pay for things in advance. Like I said, I pay for things and that means I'm going to get to the gym 3 days a week. So I have a trainer waiting for me and she's not inexpensive and she's going to call me and hassle me because I never want to get out of bed to work out. I wish I did, but out of all these years of doing this. So that's like on the rigor piece. Like I have to exercise 3 hard days a week for me to do what I want to do. There are the other days, and it could be as simple as just moving our bodies. It's just making a commitment. Like, I'm going to take the dog for a walk. If we just move our bodies, that's like 50% of the thing. And just making like, I'm the last one, like at the end of the day, I'm tired. I want to sit on the sofa. I want to read. I want to do XYZ. And it's like, nope, I'm just going to do a 15-minute walk, which always turns into a 30-minute walk, by the way. So even just simple like that routine, like, nope, every day after work, this time, 15-minute walk. Still
Great.
doing.
It's great. All right, so we're coming to the end, and we have a question that we ask all the guests, which is the following. Why is the power of the ask so crucial to women, especially financially? What's your thoughts?
Oh man. I mean, I teach so much about the power of the ask is that we have to get good at asking and asking for help, like we talked about. But, in business and money, a lot of it, I call it just making offers and designing offers, but we get really good at in fact, I just heard, I think it was on a podcast this morning, funny enough, and I'm losing her name, the founder Spanx.
Oh, yes. And Blakely, Sarah Blakely.
Yeah, Sarah Blakely. So somebody was asking her, like, how did you get into Neiman Marcus when you first got started? And she said, I picked up the phone and I called them and asked. Just right there. It's just that reminder that we create all these stories of what if we get declined or they say no or they'll never want me. And it's just like, just ask. Just ask.
I think that's 100% true. I also think it's interesting that you brought up Sarah Blakely because I'm going to say this. She has a new line out. I don't know if you've seen it called Sneaks, and they are sneakers with high heels. Okay, and I'm in love with them. And the Wall Street Journal had put out an article, and basically people were kind of like lukewarm on it. And she basically said, "I don't care what everybody else thinks because that's what everybody thought about Spanx." And look what I created with Spanx. So I think sometimes you just have to have the guts to go forward with your gut of what you think is going to make it as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You have to go against the curd for sure.
Well, it was fabulous to have you, Krisstina. And I thank you and thank all of our guests. And please, everyone, tune in to the Savvy Ladies Power of the Ask and share the episode. We will be posting it out there on LinkedIn and go to Spotify and Apple and post and share and get your friends to share and like it and review it. And let's keep it going. So thank you, Krisstina Wise.
My pleasure. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Power of the Ask, ladies.
Don't forget to like, review, and subscribe to spread the love with #PowerOfTheAsk.